Okay, so AI in filmmaking.
Yeah.
You sent over like articles, research, even some of your own notes on this. Looks like you're ready to like really go deep.
Oh, yeah.
And I gotta say, I'm pretty excited about this too. We're talking about like AI writing scripts, and then like some pretty heavy ethical questions about, you know, using AI to like bring back dead actors.
It really is fascinating because this isn't some like far off sci-fi concept anymore. I mean, AI is already changing how movies are made, and it brings up all these questions about what it even means to be creative, in this new world of filmmaking.
Yeah, and one of the first things that like really jumped out at me was just how many different ways AI is being used. It's almost like a Swiss Army knife
Right.
for filmmakers, like brainstorming plot twists, generating special effects, even predicting how audiences will react.
Yeah, think about it. Tools like Scriptbook, they're basically giving filmmakers access to this huge database of screenplays, right? So they can like analyze trends, see potential problems, and even get suggestions on, how to improve their story. It's almost like having a co-writer, but a co-writer that's seen every movie ever made.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's not just like big studios using this stuff, right? Some of these articles mention platforms like Sora
Right.
that are putting these powerful AI tools into the hands of like indie filmmakers and smaller studios.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a huge shift because it's like we're seeing filmmaking becoming more democratic, like creative vision becomes more important than the size of your budget. So a small team with a great idea can suddenly have access to the same level of like visual sophistication as a major studio.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
This article on Unreal Engine 5.2 was mind-blowing.
Uh-huh.
It's like having a virtual film studio right there on your computer. You can create these super realistic sets and environments all in real time.
Yeah, and the impact on like the workflow is huge because with real-time rendering, filmmakers can see their edits and changes like instantly. So imagine experimenting with camera angles, lighting, even entire set designs and getting immediate feedback. It becomes so much more collaborative and dynamic.
So no more waiting hours for a scene to render.
Right.
That's a game changer. It's almost like the difference between watching a movie and playing a video game.
Totally.
Speaking of video games, one of the articles talks about how the gaming industry is going all in on AI.
Oh, yeah.
From generating these vast and complex game worlds to personalizing storylines for each player.
Yeah.
AI is already changing how games are designed and played.
Absolutely. So even if someone isn't a filmmaker, but they're a gamer, AI is already shaping their entertainment in these really big ways.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, of course, not everyone is super happy about this whole AI takeover. There are some real concerns being raised, especially around job security.
Yeah, I'm seeing that a lot too, this worry that AI is going to automate certain roles and potentially put writers, editors, even actors out of work.
Yeah, and those fears are totally understandable, especially with the advancements in deepfake technology. I mean, imagine AI that can perfectly mimic someone's voice or even create a digital copy of an actor. What does that mean for the future of acting?
It's a little scary, to be honest. Remember that whole controversy with the AI skeleton in Late Night with the Devil?
Oh, yeah, and that backlash really showed how much audiences still value that human touch, that sense of artistry and intentionality that comes from a human creator. And that's why keeping quality control is so important. Just because AI can do something doesn't mean it should, and human oversight is still absolutely crucial.
Right, you don't want a movie that feels like soulless and manufactured, even if it looks technically amazing.
Exactly. And that brings up another important point. A lot of the discussion is about AI replacing human filmmakers, but these articles also talk about another possibility: collaboration.
Yeah, one of them even talks about the rise of AI filmmakers, people who are using AI tools in every part of their process.
Right. And it asks this really interesting question. Is this a real partnership where AI helps human creativity, or is it more like a competition to see who can be the most efficient?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
One thing that's clear, though, is that AI can be incredibly efficient, especially when it comes to those tasks that take a ton of time. Imagine an editor using AI to sift through hours of footage and find the key moments.
Right. AI could potentially free up editors to focus on the really creative parts of their job. So instead of spending hours scribbing through footage, they could be trying out different cuts, pacing, experimenting with different storytelling approaches.
Some of these articles mention things like facial recognition and scene analysis, where AI can help an editor understand the emotional tone of a scene
Right.
and match cuts accordingly.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, right? It's like having an assistant editor who understands human emotions.
That's incredible. But it does make you wonder, is this still art if a machine is doing so much of the work?
That's the big question, isn't it? Are we just improving human capabilities, or are we replacing the human element altogether? And that brings us to another area where AI is making a big impact: music. Apparently, there are tools like Udio that can literally generate original music scores just by clicking a button.
So wait, anyone can be a composer now. But is it really original music if an algorithm made it?
It raises a lot of the same questions as AI-generated art. Where's the line between imitation and genuine creation? And as AI gets more advanced, these questions are only going to get more complex.
Speaking of complex, one of the articles mentioned something that kind of made me nervous. It talked about the huge amount of data that AI filmmaking creates. Studios are already drowning in data from virtual production and game engines, and now AI is adding even more to the pile.
It's like a data monster that just keeps growing. Managing all this information efficiently is a massive challenge for the industry. And it's not just about storage, it's about making sense of the data, finding those insights that can actually help filmmakers create better work. And we can't forget the ethical stuff either. The article about Critters, that animated short film made entirely with AI-generated images, that one really got me thinking.
Yeah, that was crazy. So AI can make like a whole movie now.
Well, it's important to remember that there was still a human director, making decisions about the story and characters and the style, but all the visuals, the images themselves, were made by AI.
I mean, it's still a huge step. I wonder if we'll ever see like a full-length feature film made completely by AI.
It could happen, but I think it's more likely that, at least for now, AI will be used as a tool to help human creativity, not to replace it entirely.
Like that thing with using AI to get John Lennon's voice from an old demo to make a new Beatles song.
Exactly. That caused a lot of debate. Some people loved hearing a new Beatles song, but others thought it was disrespectful to Lennon's legacy. It brings up some tough ethical questions about, how far we should go with this technology.
It's like we're opening Pandora's box with creativity and ethics, and once it's open, it's hard to close it again.
Speaking of ethical stuff, one article went deep into the legal side of AI-generated content, and it's a bit of a mess right now.
Yeah, it seems like the laws haven't caught up to the tech, have they?
There are lawsuits and debates about whether studios can even use AI art in their films and who owns the copyright to it. Like,
Yeah.
if you train an AI tool on copyrighted material, does the output belong to the studio or the AI developer or the original artist?
This whole new world of intellectual property law.
And it's not just copyright. What about liability if someone uses AI-generated content to create something harmful or misleading, like deep fakes that could hurt someone's reputation or spread fake news?
So the legal and ethical stuff is just as important as the creative potential of AI in filmmaking.
Definitely, it's a lot to think about.
Looking ahead, what do you think the future holds for AI in filmmaking? Is it just a fad, or is this a real change in how movies are made?
I think it's safe to say that AI is here to stay. It's a fundamental shift, not a fad. And honestly, I think we're only just beginning to see what's possible.
Do you think AI will eventually replace human filmmakers altogether?
That's the big question, isn't it? Personally, I think AI will become an even more powerful tool for filmmakers, but I don't think it will replace humans entirely.
So more about collaboration than replacement.
Exactly. I see AI as helping human creativity, not ending it.
And as AI gets better, I bet it will open up new ways of storytelling that we can't even imagine now. New genres, new visual styles, new ways to connect with audiences.
Think of it like the Wild West of cinema, with AI as the frontier. It'll be exciting to see who the pioneers are, the trailblazers of this new era.
One thing's for sure, AI is shaking things up in Hollywood. And not just Hollywood, it's changing filmmaking everywhere.
One article talked about how AI is making filmmaking more accessible, especially for independent filmmakers in countries with limited resources. Now they have access to tools and tech that they couldn't get before.
It's like AI is leveling the playing field, giving a voice to creators who might not have had the chance before.
That could lead to so many more stories and perspectives on screen, which would be amazing for cinema.
Let's talk about some real-world examples of AI. These articles mention some interesting case studies.
One that stood out was using AI for visual effects. There are AI tools that can make realistic explosions, water simulations, even digital doubles of actors, all way faster and cheaper than traditional methods.
So even low-budget filmmakers can have blockbuster-level effects.
Exactly. It changes everything for visual storytelling. But of course, it also makes people worry about VFX artists losing their jobs.
Like with writers and editors, there's a fear that AI could automate some tasks and lead to job losses in the VFX industry.
It's a valid concern. But some people think AI will just change the kind of work VFX artists do, not get rid of it entirely. VFX artists might need to learn new skills and focus on the creative side, while AI handles the technical, repetitive stuff.
Kind of like the relationship between photographers and Photoshop.
Exactly. Photoshop didn't replace photographers. It changed how they worked and opened up new creative possibilities. And I think AI will do the same for VFX. It's a time of big change, but also big opportunity.
Speaking of opportunity, one article said that AI is actually creating new jobs in the film industry.
Oh, really? Like what?
It mentioned things like AI specialists, data analysts, even AI ethicists, people who can help studios figure out this new technology.
So even though AI might automate some tasks, it's also creating new areas of expertise.
It's like any new technology. Some jobs are lost, but new ones are created. And the people who adapt and learn the new tech will do well in this new world.
Absolutely. If you want to work in film, learning about AI could give you a big advantage.
So taking a step back, what are the key takeaways from all of this? What should our listener be thinking about as they learn about AI in filmmaking?
I think the most important thing is that AI isn't just a technology change, it's a culture change. It's changing how we create and enjoy entertainment, and it's making us ask big questions about art creativity, even what it means to be human.
It makes us rethink what it means to be a filmmaker, a storyteller, an artist.
And it challenges us to think about the ethics of these powerful new technologies. What are the risks? What are the unintended consequences?
It's a lot to take in, but these are conversations we need to be having.
Definitely. The more we understand about AI, the better we can deal with its impact on our lives, and the more we can shape how it develops to help society as a whole.
It's not about being afraid of AI, it's about understanding what it can and can't do.
And finding ways to use it responsibly and creatively. The future of filmmaking is up to us, and AI is one of the tools we have to shape it.
This deep dive has given us a lot to think about.
It has. And I'm sure our listener has even more to ponder after hearing all of this.
So to our listener, what are your thoughts? How do you feel about AI in filmmaking? What excites you? What worries you? We want to hear what you think. You know, going through these articles, one thing that really hit me was how AI is impacting like the indie film scene. It's easy to think of this as like big studio tech,
Right.
but it's really changing things for smaller creators too.
Yeah, totally. It's like AI is giving independent filmmakers access to tools and resources that they couldn't afford before.
Right.
Imagine being able to create these awesome visual effects or complex scenes
Right.
without a huge Hollywood budget.
Exactly. One article talked about how these AI platforms are helping indie filmmakers tell their stories in ways that just weren't possible before. And it's leading to this explosion of creativity and innovation in indie film.
Yeah, and that's great for cinema as a whole. You know, we could see so many more diverse stories and perspectives, all thanks to AI.
It can't be all good though, right?
Yeah.
There must be challenges for indie filmmakers in this new AI world.
Oh, absolutely. One big one is keeping up with how fast things are changing. New AI tools and platforms are coming out all the time.
Right.
It can be a lot for indie filmmakers to stay on top of it all.
It's like a constant learning curve, always adapting.
Exactly. And then there's the ethical side of things, too.
Right.
Indie filmmakers have to be aware of copyright data privacy and even bias in AI algorithms.
Yeah.
It's a whole new set of things to think about.
So what advice would you give to an indie filmmaker who wants to explore AI? Where should they start?
I think the first thing is to do some research.
Okay.
There's so much info online at film festivals, even in online communities where filmmakers are sharing what they've learned.
One article mentioned the AI Film Fest Amsterdam,
Right.
which showcases the latest in AI filmmaking. That sounds like a good place to start.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to experiment, try different AI tools, play around with them, see how they fit into your process.
It's like getting a new toy, but a toy that could completely change how you make films.
Exactly. The more you experiment, the more comfortable you'll get with AI, and you'll discover all the ways it can improve your storytelling.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into AI and filmmaking,
Yeah.
what's the main takeaway for our listeners?
I'd say the main thing is that AI is a huge change for filmmaking. It's a tool that can make things more creative, streamline how you work, and give everyone access to filmmaking resources, not just the big studios.
Right. But we can't forget the challenges AI brings up, ethical and legal questions that we as a society need to figure out.
It's a time of big change and big opportunity in cinema, and it's going to be really interesting to see how AI shapes the future of storytelling.
This deep dive has given us so much to think about.
It has, and I'm sure our listener has even more to consider after hearing all this.
To all our listeners out there, we hope you enjoyed this deep dive into AI and filmmaking. It's a fascinating topic, and we're just scratching the surface here.
Yeah?
If you're interested in exploring AI further, make sure to subscribe to the Before AGI podcast for more deep dives like this one. And if you want to get more hands-on with AI, Check out Ian Ochieng, AI, on YouTube. You'll find tons of tutorials, insights, and behind-the-scenes stuff on AI.
For sure.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.
See ya.